Today we've got a table of gear, a stack of Sony batteries, and a dream of efficiency of our gear in our hearts. You always gotta keep that dream of your gear in your hearts, right? Let's talk about the best YouTuber camera video accessories, because no matter how good your camera body is, if you don't light, stabilize, and make it sound good, well, that's gonna be terrible. What's up everyone, I'm the Everyday Dad, and if I can figure it out, you can figure it out. This is like version 2.0 of the studio. I'm still trying some new stuff out, so if you like this one better than the other one, leave a comment below. Wednesday we talked about what I think are the 8-ish best cameras for YouTubers in 2019. And to follow it up, now I want to talk about a variety of accessories slash ancillary equipment, because when you consider the vast amount of gear this covers, and if you lump it all into one, like if you consider all accessories to be like one category, this is actually the question I get asked more than anything. What light, what microphone, what whatever, etc. Much like with the camera video, I want to break this video down into certain price segments and an additional segmentizing? Really don't think that's a word. We're going to include here is we are also going to break it down by essential function. And as a quick point of clarification that I'd like to make in the camera video, this is gear that I've personally used. If I haven't owned it or tried it out, I can't really make a judgment call on it. So there might be better stuff out there. This is stuff that I've used. Ding! And like we said in the beginning, the 3 essential functions when you boil it all down are audio, lighting, and stabilization. If you can nail all 3 of those, chances are you'll have some very nice, decent to use footage. Let's start off with the easiest to overlook, but probably the most important, stabilization. And when I say stabilization, I don't necessarily mean like whatever cool gimbal is currently out on the market. Like that one, that is a cool gimbal, but this is not the stabilization I'm talking about. I'm talking about basic things like tripods. And if you are in the category of people, which, you know, most of us are when we start out, don't let this distract you, that really have nothing to invest, boom! Your tripod could be a stack of books. Simply stack up some books on a table, build it up a bit, and lean your camera, most likely your phone, on it and get going. I know that sounds funny and not really practical, but people honestly only care about what the camera sees. For most of my videos, I only clean like this area. I mean, it's actually, since I'm moving the studio around a little bit, this is a huge mess. You can't see it, so you don't worry about it. Like the only thing that people care about is what the lens can see. So why this is actually relevant is nobody gives a crap what is holding up your camera. What is holding up my camera right now? You don't even know. You just care that the footage is stable. But let's say you do have a little cash to spend. What is the best starter or beginner level tripod that you can get to get you off the table? Boom. This is the Amazon Basics 50-inch tripod, and it costs, ding, amount of dollars. It's crazy cheap, and while it seems like it could lead to it being a piece of junk, I actually currently use 2 of these in my setup. Like right now, there's one holding up this camera. This is my other one that I normally have the audio device set up on, and I've had one of these for a year and a half with no issues. I've dropped it, I've kicked it, I've beaten it up. I mean, I've let my kid use it, and this thing just keeps working. It's incredibly lightweight, and despite that, I've had it hold some pretty big full-frame camera rigs. Now, it's really designed for smaller cameras, so I don't recommend you do the same. Just don't push it too hard. It is lightweight metal. You don't get a huge amount of functionality. Yes, it will pan and tilt, but I wouldn't use this to actually include that motion in your video because there is no real fluid head here. It just lets you like angle your camera to get the shot you want. Not necessarily, yeah, don't use it, it'll make your footage look gross. Let's say you do have a little bit bigger budget though and want to include some smooth movement in your video. This is the Ravelli fluid head tripod, and yes, it's big and it's heavy, but the fluid head is super smooth, and because it's large and in charge, it will handle just about any size camera, and the best part is, it didn't cost that much. I like saving money on my gear. I've been using this darn thing for almost 2 years now, and while yes, it is too big to practically take anywhere, and I have done that, and it really sucks. It works perfectly as a studio tripod because this rock just doesn't move. The biggest negative about this particular tripod though doesn't really have anything to do with that weight. It's that the quick release plate doesn't work with Manfrotto quick release plates, so to get around that, I bought this little extra quick release thing. You put it on top of it, you use the proprietary thing once, that's all you need to do. But let's say you have a little more money and you want to get both lightweight and the ability for fluid movement. This is the Manfrotto BeFree, and it's pretty darn expensive for a tripod. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I've taken this thing with me everywhere. It's small, reliable, it's sturdy, it packs up really small, and frankly, it's one of the best accessories I've ever used. It has different configurations, so like right here, it can have a wider base or it can have a narrower base, depending on the needs of the shot. If you need a little more stability, you want it to be a little wider. And additionally, you can use this in really unique ways. Like you can pull this part out and you can put it in here upside down so that you can get really low angle shots, but still getting smooth pans and tilts. Now it's not as smooth as the bigger tripod just because it's not as heavy duty and these legs it just doesn't have the base of support to keep everything from shaking. But for the maneuverability, it's insanely good. It's insanely good, and I mean, it should be because it is pricey. We could also talk about gimbals here, but frankly, I think that gimbals are a little overused and overrated, and I don't personally use them on a consistent basis. I prefer having good stabilization either electronically or physically built into the camera because setting up a gimbal is a hassle, and I don't like taking the time for it. If you're traveling a lot or you're filming somebody else, yes, a gimbal's probably gonna work, but for those of us doing these kind of videos, it doesn't do much. I mean, some people love them and that's great. I'm pretty meh on the whole thing. I wanna like them, but every time I get one, I never use it. Next up on the essential accessory function, lighting. Like, lighting is so insanely important. The best camera in the world will still look terrible in bad lighting. I mean, it's up there with stabilization for importance of making your actual video image quality look good. And to start off, if you have no money to invest, all you really need is to pop yourself down in front of a window or glass door. I mean, natural lighting can be some of the best around, and the biggest benefit is it's free. I don't know about you, I love free stuff. Check it out. Okay, and here's a quick example of how natural lighting can look and how you can use it to your advantage. So we are currently, this is just a different spot in my house, but we are next to a big open window that you can see. Look at that, there's a big open window. So you just turn it over, you get your focus, and it works. Like, you don't have to spend a lot of money on lighting gear when you can just sit down near a window or a glass door in your house, use that, doesn't look too bad. Okay, back to the studio. Again, if you do have a budget you want to invest in, there are some options and not all of them are expensive. Starting off with the budget kit, I would recommend going on to Amazon, finding a couple of the cheap LED lights with umbrella diffuser. I mean, this is what I used in the beginning when I first started getting serious about making YouTube videos. I mean, you can pick these up for about 50 bucks. That is the stand, the diffuser, and the light. I mean, yes, that is $50 well invested. And I cannot overstate how important good lighting, heck, any lighting is for video production. If you take away one thing today, pay attention. If you're one thing today, plan more for your lighting because lighting will make or break your actual image quality. It doesn't matter how expensive your camera is, bad lighting will make it bad. But if you want a little more control or more powerful lighting, you could get something like what I'm currently using, like what you're seeing to light me up right now, and that's the Godox SL60W, 60W SL, the Godox 60 light. It's a one chip LED light that pushes out a crazy amount of light. It only costs 100 bucks. Like right now we're at 18%. I mean, this is one of the best investments I've ever made to the channel. And an extra benefit of this particular light is it has a Bowens mount. I mean, that's just what they call the specific mount that this light uses. You will need to buy a diffuser for this kind of light. I mean, you can't just use it by yourself because the light would be crazy harsh, but because it has that Bowens mount, you can adapt other brands of diffusers. For example, right now I'm using the Aperture Light Dome, which takes that light, breaks it down twice with 2 layers of diffusion, and it makes it nice and soft at the end, which at the end of the day is really what it's all about. Harsh lighting necessarily isn't a deal breaker because if you film stuff outdoors during the day, you'll know harsh lighting is sometimes just part of the deal. But having soft lighting makes me look much younger, and I'm all on board with that. There are more expensive options past here, but honestly, I don't know if I'd spend more than a couple $100 for lighting, especially when the options like the previously mentioned Godox, it's like $100. Like, this is probably the best investment you can make in your lighting. But here comes the most important set of accessories. Like, image quality is good, but this matters most, and that's audio. All 3 of these pillars of video production are important, don't get me wrong. And if you fail on one, people will generally not want to watch your video. So you do have to take all 3 seriously. But nothing, straight up, nothing is more important than audio. I mean, look, podcasts are blowing up right now, right? So people will sit down and they will listen to long form content even without these pretty pictures to look at or pretty people like the Everyday Dad. They will forgive bad image quality before they forgive bad audio. Trust me, as somebody that's been doing this for a long time, the most negative comments I will get is if the audio is bad. Because of that, I'm not gonna give you a free option for increasing your production. You could always have some kind of microphone or use a camera that specifically has front-facing internal mics and keep it close to your face. The lowest I'd go is to get a lavalier mic like this Boya M1, which can be had for about 20 bucks. This works for both cell phones and regular cameras, and it does that with just a flick of the switch. And it comes with a super long cable, so you won't feel trapped to stand like right next to or in front of your camera, because I personally hate that. Now, I've made plenty of videos including this mic, and frankly, it does a pretty darn good job for the price, and you can see some of those in the description below, hopefully in the recommended. I don't actually know how YouTube works. If you have a little more money to invest and you don't want to trust your camera's internal preamps, because sometimes they are terrible, I'd look into getting an external audio recorder. You don't necessarily need to spend a huge amount to get a valuable recorder. This Zoom H1N can be found for under $100 and can pull dual duty as an external audio recorder, or you could plug in a lav mic into the line in here. Or, and the best part is, you could use this as a pass-through preamp and bypass your camera's internal recording period to get really good audio without needing to sync it in post. Like, you can plug this, you can plug a line in, you can take a line out straight into your camera, get this to do all the heavy lifting. And this is one of the most useful devices to have. I love this thing. However, if you find yourself sitting in a single spot and not moving around very often, sounds familiar, right? You could get a shotgun microphone and not need to mic up. Like right now, currently we are using the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus, which is a directional shotgun microphone that does cost more than the lav mic plus the zoom combined. I mean, there's no two ways around that. It's an expensive microphone, but you do get some useful features, like it's got an internal battery that lasts forever. I think I've only charged this thing like 2 times in the 5-6 months I've been using it. It automatically turns on when you turn on the camera, and it has a +20 gain, so if you have a very quiet preamp or you don't want your camera to be doing the work, you can raise the gain without stressing that camera out too much and getting really good audio in it. It works off of a 3.5mm audio cable that plugs straight from the microphone into your camera, and it's incredibly easy to use. Now, I do wish it had selectable gain and not just a straight +20 or -10, but such is life, I guess. Now, there are better and more expensive options out there for recording audio, like an XLR adapter like the Mix Pre 3, which is fantastic. But for the purposes of this video, we're gonna try to keep it as compact, and we're gonna try to keep everything reasonable price so that you can invest more of this money into getting body and some glass. Whew! Those are the 3 major categories. So let's quickly go through some other honorable mentions before I pass out from exhaustion, because man, this has been a long video. My videos are not normally this long. There are other useful accessories out there like ND filters, monitors, batteries. If you'd like to see a video about those, leave a comment below, because that's absolutely as long as I'm gonna let this video get. These are the 3 pillars. Thanks for watching.